Stay tuned for my video right here on Social Goals.
Say one thing before we start the show too. You're not having a good time. If you're not having a good time, you're wasting your time. You say that every night.
Situationships, and all things. Thank you so much.
Daddy Yum Yum, 265 gallons of pure milk chocolate. And you are watching the Social Goals.
Actually, on 70th, I hit a pothole and dodged two more. And I'm like, something, this is terrible, tearing my car up. I go home, and that night I'm watching on the news, and there was a little girl that was murdered in Queensboro. Don't know if you remember that. And it was all retaliation gang related.
Okay.
And the little girl, I think, was 5 years old. And it was not that she was shot on purpose. It was an accident, but it's still violence and it's crime. And it just got all over me. And I got on Facebook and I started ranting, which I don't do. I do 2 posts on Facebook. I do a religious post every morning and a pretty much of a motivational post every morning. And that's just me. But that night I ranted, and I had a lot of people say, well, you just need to run for mayor. Okay. And I'm like, yeah, laughing, right. Me? Sure. And because I'd never been in politics before.
Okay.
So, it kept on. It had more people and more people and more people. And I had a friend of mine that started a Facebook page for me, Leo Savage for mayor. Okay. And it was like, oh my God. So, and I prayed about it and I prayed about it. And then I go to the Simple Church and our pastor I think it was the first service of the new year, he was talking about goals.
Okay.
And he said, one of the things he was talking about was, he said, if you're a boxer, he said, don't just hit the air, in other words, hit what you're going for. And he said, yeah, so if you're in the race, run the race. And it was like he was talking to me, and that's how I felt. Okay. So I was totally undecided before then, but I went home and I publicly said at that point, I'm going to run for mayor. And so politics, I don't even like calling it politics, Darien. Okay. If people that cared ran for office and then they ran as public servants, which is what we should do. Okay. If you're elected, you should serve, not try to serve yourself. Right. It's not a self-serving position. If you go out and you vote for me, I'm supposed to do whatever I can do to accomplish what you voted me for. I've said many times, if I had been elected as mayor, I would have made Republicans mad at me, Democrats mad at me, Independents mad at me, white men, white women, black men, black women. I would have made people mad. I mean, you can't please everybody.
Right.
But my job would have been to do the right thing for Shreveport. Every decision you make, you do it for Shreveport, because that's the position I would have been elected to do. It's not, okay, well, I'm going to appease you because you gave me money on my campaign. No, you don't do that. You do what's right for the job that you're elected for. So how I got into politics, that's how.
Okay. So for those that are watching now, we are now live on our social media platforms. I'd like to welcome you out to Truth, Realness, and Option Season 5. I am Darien Willis. I am hosting today, and our guest is Mr. Lee Savage. And once again, I want to congratulate Mr. Savage for winning unopposed. And I'm sorry if I get this wrong again. I don't know where my mind be running.
That's
like
okay.
1,000 miles. He went unopposed for the parish, the Caddo Parish
Executive Committee,
District 7, and also for the State Central Committee, District 39C.
That's correct. And I was not unopposed there. I had an opponent in that particular election.
Okay. So now, since you're newly elected as of the 23rd, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you got to hit the ground running. So what are your plans so far for what you've been elected?
Well, as Parish Executive Committee, it's our job to try to find the right people to run for offices. Okay. Locally. Conversely, with the State Central Committee, it's basically about the same thing, except it's statewide. As a matter of fact, we're having a meeting not this coming weekend, but the following weekend in Baton Rouge, and it will be all the newly elected as well as the returning members of the State Central Committee, and you do certain things in those parish executive committees. I'll just say, your job is to raise money, to do the right thing, to come to you, Darien, and say, Darien, you really stand for a lot of good things. Have you ever thought about running for? Well, not thought about that, and then help you with a campaign, help you, to get your message out. The whole thing. That's what a State Central Committee person does, as well as the Parish Executive Committee.
Okay. So are you working hand in hand with any of the other elected officials, or is it an independent?
No, I'm a Republican. Okay. And so, the people that we work with are Republicans.
Okay.
And of course, there's so many different ones. I've helped different campaigns. Governor Landry, we were all, did the things to help him get elected, as well as a lot of other people in state positions right now throughout the state and parish-wise as well as citywide.
Okay. So, we have, upcoming election next year. How do you think it's looking as far as the Republican nominee for president?
Trump is, that's a natural, that's a given. Of course, he's got all these lawsuits against him now. Who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. I would probably put good money on it that he would definitely be the person that's going to run against Biden. But we'll see what happens there. Yeah.
Okay. So are you in support of Donald Trump? I know with some people being in a party, they may have different candidates they may support. So.
I'm kind of, let me call myself a Republican, but I'll call myself a realist when I vote. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I don't care who you are. If I think you're the right person for the job, you're going to get my vote. And that's just the way I vote. I support Donald Trump on so many levels. If you look back at what he did with the Democrats opposing him most of the time, on every turn, he still accomplished so much for our country. Donald Trump is a businessman. He cannot be bought off because he has money. Our problems today, and I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat,
people get into office, and again, they do it with their heart because they care. Just like the reason why I was running for mayor.
Okay.
But what happens
is somewhere along the way, somebody comes up and they offer you money, or they say, hey, let me do this for you, and da 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 da. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't. Oh, it's okay. You know, that's not a problem. Until something happens and they come up and they hold it against you later. And now all of a sudden you're bound to that individual or that particular group or organization. And that's where the corrupt nature comes along in politics. But I think that I mean, you look at Biden today, and you look at you know, we've sent, and so many people think, well, the government is sending this money. The government is sending our money. That's our money. You know, you have a home here, you pay homeowners, you pay tax. When you buy a car, you pay tax on groceries, gas, everything you buy. When you go to work, they hold tax out of your check.
Right.
Everything you do, this is the money that the government uses to do the things they should do, like fix our infrastructure, to fix homelessness, to our crime issues. But instead, we have sent $165 billion to the Ukraine, and it's unaccounted for.
Okay.
I'm okay. I have a nonprofit company called the Do Good Project.
Okay.
We repair homes for the needy. Now, I have a lot of people that call me, and a lot of people say, hey, you know, can you come fix this? Can you get it? I said, sure. Let me come out there and take a look. I want to talk to you first. I want to make sure that you're not looking for a handout. You're just looking for a handout. You know, I want to help people. But if you're looking for a handout, no, I'm not doing that. But Ukraine is taking this money, and there's a company that so many people don't understand. Everything is related. There's a company called BlackRock. And if you Google BlackRock, you will see where they own several different companies outside of BlackRock. And there's a lot of the arms, the munitions, vehicles, everything that's tied to them. The money that's going over there is kind of intercepted by this company called BlackRock.
Okay.
And they're taking the money and they're getting extremely wealthy. Well, why am I saying this? Is because people start getting kickbacks from all of this. And the uninformed people don't understand this, and they don't know this, but it's disturbing to me, because we have so many people that are out there. And you take Hunter Biden. You know, Hunter Biden goes over, and he's never done anything with oil company before. Now all of a sudden he's getting, you know, $85,000 a month, you know, as a salary. So there's just so much corruption. And I'm tired of the gas prices, the inflation. So that's why I do support Donald Trump.
Okay. So for those that are watching on SGR 81.4 FM The Heat, those that are watching on different platforms, once again, I'd like to welcome you to Truth, Realness, and Options. I'm Darien Willis, and we're here with Mr. Lee Savage. So within this past election, you know, you had the opportunity of being a part of history. You know that the new elected sheriff, Henry Whitehorn, has made history being the first African-American male sheriff in Caddo Parish. How do you feel about that race with it going 3 terms? Like, what's your perspective on it? How did you feel about it? And who did you support?
I was behind Nicholson, and I'll tell you why. I met John back when I ran for mayor. And I can tell you then, you know, he was at that time running for city council. John, again, you got you got liberal and a conservative. You know, you got a Democrat's a liberal. They think this is what they put us in. I hate that, and then you got a Republican as a conservative.
Okay.
John was a Republican, but he always rode the fence between a conservative and a liberal. He made a lot of decisions that were more tied to the liberal side than he did through the conservative side. Although I knowing him and Grayson Busher extremely well, they tried to make the right decisions. Well, what the one major thing is the reason why I was behind John. I have nothing against Mr. Whitehorn. I pray that he does the right thing going forward. I pray that he does. But when he was CAO for Adrian Perkins, and I know Adrian. I saw Adrian just about 10 days ago, I guess, and we talked. I like Adrian. I've always liked Adrian, but he was the CAO for Adrian, and they had this recycling contract that came up. Well, we're not getting recycling right now. If you're in the city of Shreveport, nobody gets recycling. Well, we still have the containers out there, but we don't get recycling. Well, they put that out for bid, and they gave the contract to a lady who had no experience doing this. She had no equipment, no background doing it. She had a Lexus, and that was it. And they awarded, and Mr. Whitehorn awarded this contract to her, and she was going to get paid $150,000 a month to do this. Now, he, as sheriff, you have a $70 million budget that you have to control.
Okay.
Most people don't understand or know that budget, the sheriff is the only elected official that can do this. He can make his budget and he approves that budget. Okay. So meaning if I want to give Darien some money, and over there, well, and here you got Jeff comes over and Jeff says, well, that's not right. He shouldn't be getting this, I'm sorry. That's my decision. So you're going to get the money. You have to have somebody with absolute integrity that's going to do the right thing. I don't know if somebody was going to profit out of this recycling deal. I know it has to happen. It would have, but I don't know who it would have been. But all I know is that John Nicholson caught that issue, and they ended up putting a bond, making the individual put up a bond, and she could not come up with the money to get the bond. And that's why she didn't get the contract in the end. But I wanted somebody in there who was going to watch the money. As a sheriff, you don't really have to have law enforcement experience. You're managing a group of people is what you're doing. And you are managing that budget. That's what you are doing. And $70 million is a lot of our money. It's a lot of our money to have somebody. So I congratulate Mr. Whitehorn. I've met him several times. I respect the man, and I hope and pray that he does the right thing. He's got an opportunity and a chance to show everybody that being that first black sheriff in Caddo Parish, he's got an obligation to show you and every black person out there, every white person out there, that man is going to do the right thing. And I hope he's the best sheriff that we've ever had, not just black or white or female. I don't care. I don't care who anybody is, but I hope he is the best.
Okay. So I want to kind of double down on this conversation with newly elected Sheriff Whitehorn. So would your concern be, is his integrity due to being the CAO? Is that where, you have your concern as far as what he did when he was an elected official under former Mayor Adrian Perkins?
He was appointed. He wasn't elected for that. Okay. He was appointed. If I have an accountant and the accountant does something that's totally wrong, I'm going to question that person.
Right.
I mean, if you have somebody that's managing your money, let's say you had your wife,
Right.
and your wife pays the bills, and all of a sudden your wife starts making some questionable expenditures. You're not just going to say, well, now that you got another job, you say, okay, here you go, baby, I want you to manage all of this now, even though I know that you've already made some questionable decisions. So that's my issue. Again, I'm sure he wants to do the right thing. Again, I want him to do the right thing. I expect him to do the right thing, and I support him to do the right thing.
Okay, and I want to ask you another question. So, does experience make you the best teacher?
No.
Now, you don't believe.
Well, let me retract that statement.
And I was only asking you that due to the statement you made. Like some people make mistakes initially, but due to the mistakes they made, if they are given another opportunity, they can rectify and actually excel in what they're doing.
Oh, no. I absolutely agree with that. Experience is a great teacher. There are things in my life that I've done or I've said, and I'm like, why did I say that?
Yes,
I have a Bible study group that comes over to my house every other Tuesday, and the series that we're watching right now is Better Decisions, Fewer Regrets, and it's by Andy Stanley.
Yes,
and
sir.
one of the things that he talks about is, think before you do something, think about, what would you have done previously, in those circumstances with the experiences that you had. So that's what I hope he does,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and like I said, this will be my last question with that. When it came to Mr. Nicholson and Sheriff Whitehorn, did you believe that his experience in law enforcement and his accolades actually gave him to be better suited for that position? I know you said that it's not generally fully about the law enforcement part of it. It's more about a budget that he has to maintain, and based to experience that I've had, it made you question him being the right person for the job.
Right. I will tell you this 100%. I think that if Mr. Whitehorn, Sheriff Whitehorn now, he had not made something as obviously bad as decision as he made on that, I would probably have been supporting him only because of his experience. You got to look at that, and okay, I do know what works. I haven't. I mean, and I know he's had some little debacles when he was the police chief, but that if you've been in there, John's an attorney. He knows what happens in a law case. Mr. Whitehorn doesn't, So the experience is there, that Mr. Whitehorn has, and if you don't mind me just sharing something that I have been trying to tell everybody about.
The floor is yours.
I have recommended many times on deaf ears, I'm going to tell you, but since I ran for mayor, we've been about 140 to 150 police officers short. We've been down that much in all this time. Now, if you look at that, if you look at the numbers, and we'll just use 150.
Okay.
And let's use $50,000 as an average, not salary, but we have to pay the salary. You got benefits. You've got everything that ties into it. We'll just call it $50,000.
Yes, sir.
That's what it's worth. That's $7.5 million a year that we have not been spending, that we budget for. And in other words, we budget for those 150. We're just short that 150. You follow me there? So
I do.
So we should have $77.5 million in the bank and say, well, we've got this money because we don't have officers. What can we do about law enforcement? What can we do to go out there and help the public to do whatever we can do to reduce the crime? And you know it's running rampant. One of the things that I have suggested, it may not be the most popular thing in the world, but I know you've probably been to Lowe's. And if you go to Lowe's Home Improvement and you pull in the parking lot, you see they've got what they call a mobile surveillance system.
Right.
In other words, you can hook it on the back of a truck, you can move it over here, move it over there, wherever you want it to move. Inside that encasing is a computer, and they've got the little thing that goes up. That is got at the very top of that, it's got what they call a PTZ camera. It's a pan, tilt, zoom camera. Okay. That camera can look, it can move, it can go around, it can see anything. I used to sell these things a long time ago. And we demonstrated one to the sheriff's office on North Market. If you know where that's at, we went behind the sheriff's substation over there. And I set it up. Now, directly across the street on North Market, there's a strip center. And when we set it up that night or that day, I went home that night and I was literally watching people. And I could tell, Darien, if you walked in, there was a tanning center, it was one of them, so they had a lot of traffic coming in and out of that place. Sir. I could see people coming in and out of it. And that is probably 100 yards away. So if we set these things up, I mean, think you could buy one for 12, 15 grand, but if we set those up in our high crime areas, what do you think could happen? We've all had roaches, and you know what happens when you turn the lights on with roaches, they scatter. Right. Well, why don't we put these things all over the place to hopefully, will it eliminate some of the things that are happening? No, but it might move it other places. Move it out. I don't want it here. Go to Dallas. Go to wherever. Go to Texas. I don't care. Right. I don't want it in Shreveport. It's my home. Right. This is your home. Right. We care about our families. I want to feel safe when I go places. I don't want to feel like every time I go, I'm looking over. Is this person coming up? What's going on? Right. Yeah, I don't want to feel that way. I want to feel safe. And I think if they spent some money on that, I was talking to Adrian. This has been about a month ago now. Okay. And he was working, I think it was Purdue or Stanford, one of those two. And they were talking about and working on drone technology. Now, what that really means is, and if they could tie that, and he didn't really say this, but if they could tie the drone technology with shots fired technology, when shots fired, everybody's notified. Boom, shots are fired and 63 blah, 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 blah. Well, if the drone technology could be tied to this, and we could have drones throughout the city, and a drone could take off. Shot was fired, drone takes off. And it's hovering above the area where the shots were fired. Can see anything and everything that goes on. I can identify this person, that person, even follow, get a picture of the license plate, whatever I need to do. We're short police officers. We don't have enough people to be there, sir. But this could truly help in eliminating a lot of that. I know that, and I want to stop there and tell you why I think crime is happening. There's cause and effect. Everything in life is cause and effect. Back in the day, we had manufacturing plants galore here. We had Beard Poland. I worked there. You had Western Electric, which later AT&T. You had Google Battery. You had oh my gosh, the list goes on and on and on.
Yes, sir.
Those plants had literally thousands of people working in them. You were paid enough money that you could support a family. And if you can support a family, you don't need to go to drugs or to gangs to try to, you got some guy over here that's selling drugs and a guy that's trying to make it is working his butt off and he's only not even getting 40 hours, and he's just not making ends meet. But he's got a family. He's trying. But here's the drug guy over there says, hey, man, I got a couple of packs, of crystal. I got a crack here. He says, if you'll sell this for me, you're going to make this much money. You're try it here. Just do these. And boom, all of a sudden, it becomes an addiction, And then, sadly, the person tries the drug. And then now they're not just, a seller, they're a user. And guns happen when this happens. And which is primarily what I was telling you earlier. One of the reasons why I ran the little girl in Queensboro that was shot, it was all over drugs, and we've got to go back and we've got to get people truly invested in bringing back manufacturing and economy back to our city. Now, I know it has to be cleaned up for people to want to come back here. Things don't come here because we have a high crime rate, because of our infrastructure, because of how nasty it is. But we truly have to attack that, and we've got to go after it aggressively, consistently, and we can get that again. We can be that again. If you think about Shreveport, we now have I-49, we have I-20, we've got Red River. We've got so many areas that you can have a transportation hub to where, let's say that you're selling candy. You got a candy plant, and that's what you do, and you have to distribute this candy. Okay. It's got to be distributed. Yes, and sir. If you think about, if I'm located in Arizona, hypothetically, to get to New York or get to Florida, that's a long trek to transport all your trucks that you've got to go. But if you're here, you're within 3 days of any place in the U.S. So why are we not pushing that? Why are we not selling that? If you got something good, you got to sell it. And you got to say, would you like to save this much money? I mean, I think if I was going to go into you and you have that company, I was like, how much do you spend on transportation every year? Well, I spend Do you realize that you could save this much money if you had a hub right here in Shreveport? And we've got the places, we've got the locations that people could come into, but we're not doing our best to get that word out.
Okay, and that leads me to my next question. I'm going to go back to some of the things you also mentioned. Are you confident in the political team of Louisiana as far as the hierarchy and where we are currently at this state?
For the state, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm pretty confident locally, but words are words and actions are actions.
Absolutely.
Show me the money kind of thing.
Absolutely.
I want to see. I want to see what everybody's going to do. Don't tell me you're going to do this and you never do that. Let's see what you can do.
Yes, sir.
Again, we have, I've told several people this. If I was mayor, I would have invited the governor to come up, and I would have been in my office and I would have been wearing some overalls without a shirt and no shoes, and let him walk in the door first time to meet me, and just to watch the look on his face, and it would have been, what in the heck is this, right? And I would have said, well, how do you feel meeting me like this? Force him to talk. And I'm saying, I want to take you on a little trip. We're going to go over to Texas and we're going to come into Louisiana. on I-20. And you're going to see what impression that people have when they come into Shreveport, into Louisiana. And because State Fair Stadium, we've got a baseball park over there that we could have renovated. Do you know that we had offers from East Texas Baptist University? They wanted to lease that. They would have renovated that, but the only thing they were going to do is put up their name on it. And it could have been premier. But when people go through Shreveport on I-20, the things that they see right now are not good things. There's trash on the road. The roads are terrible. I'd want to get out of there as fast as I could if I were them. But if you come through and there's baseball over there and you're seeing that, and you can stop things that look good, and they smell good, everything is good. I think we ought to come over here and stop. Let's check out this, and
Right.
let's go back and visit Shreveport one day and see what's going on, But you got to do that. So I want to see somebody fix those things. But as far as what they're doing now, I do think that we're on the right track for what we have statewide. I think citywide, I'm pretty good with. Again, I expect them to do the right thing.
Okay. So you also mentioned guns. So are you familiar with the concealed handgun carry, where everyone doesn't have to have that?
Correct.
How do you feel about that?
Everybody's got mixed feelings on that.
Yes, sir.
I think if you were a individual who's going to go in to rob a convenience store, it seems like those in Dollar Generals get robbed all the time. And you walked in and there were a couple of people that had a gun on their hip, you might not do it. I don't know. I don't know what.
So are you in full support of that?
I would say yes. I am in support. I've always believed in having guns. I've got guns, and I just believe that we have the right to bear arms, and especially now the way everything's going.
Right.
And we need to. Yeah.
Absolutely. And once again, I want to congratulate you on being appointed to actually 2 positions. For those that are watching, those that are listening, Ms. Savage, can we see you running for the position of mayor in the future?
I don't think so. I had really thought about running again the last time, but I just felt like it takes money to run for mayor, and I'm not an attorney. I'm not this. I've not been in a political field, so I don't have all this money pouring in to help me to do the things that you have to do, and it takes a lot of money to win these races. I mean, a mayor's race, you have to have a lot of money to to go, and as much as I love Shreveport, and I'll tell you, if something happened and I felt the need to, I may. I'm not going to say I would not.
Okay.
But I'm more right now about trying to support people from behind the scenes, and just to try to do what I can to do what's best for my community.
Okay. Well, Ms. Savage, we really appreciate you. You've been on this platform a few times, and we really appreciate you. And we know we have some things to take care of behind the scenes. Like I said, y'all have been watching Truth, Realness, and Options. I'm Darien Willis. This is season 5. That's that meaning
Big 5.
We thank you for coming, man. We'll catch y'all next time. That was good.